GM, Neo Knights, everyone. Hello, how are we all doing today? We are waiting for Edge. Good morning, Edge. How's it going? Can you hear me, Edge? I think you're on mute.
Hello, I'm here. How's it going, man?
Yes. Doing so good. We're
Yeah, how's ETHDenver going?
man, it's going great. I'll get into that in a second. I want to start off how we normally start though. So this is Smart Economy Podcast, Crypto, Coffee, and Blockchain Beer number 8, where fellow Neo News Today co-editor Edge and I get together. We try to on a weekly basis to talk about what's going on in the broader blockchain and crypto space. We like to start each of these off each week with some network statistics about Neo N3. Though we're protocol agnostic, we are from the Neo ecosystem. So as of Friday, March 1st, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, we have 95,704 addresses on Neo N3, and we are at a block height of 4,983,814. Thank you to everyone for checking in and seeing what's going on. So now, with all that out of the way, Edge, ETHDenver's awesome, man. I'm happy for the team for figuring out how to work with a lot of issues, work around a lot of issues they had last year. Um, Primarily, the biggest issue that most folks had was the internet. The event moved from the first building it had been in for its first 4 years to the National Western Stock Show, which is where a bunch of cowboys sell cattle and sheep and farm equipment once a year here in Denver. And it was not equipped to handle a bunch of techno geeks converging into a space and needing internet. So last year's internet was absolutely awful, and this year we're able to have it online. The layout's a lot better. So from a logistics perspective, the event is just continuing to improve. From a morale and kind of folks who are here perspective, it's been really great. I've been noticing a lot of folks from the class of 2021 who have still kind of like stuck around and ground it through the most recent bear market. So those are the types of attendees. And then once again, this is a multi-chain event. So it's not just Ethereum and EVM land. I've seen Polkadot booths. There was a Cosmos event. Near has a presence here again. Um, and I'm also starting to hear a lot more talk about L3s in addition to L2s. So maybe we can just kind of go from there and see if you have any other questions or insights based off of the verbal dump I just gave.
Yeah, well, you actually answered one of my questions, which is like, what's the non Ethereum turnout like, right? Because last year I know Near had a really big presence, and I
Hmm.
saw a little bit of buzz about Cosmos and I think Solana having a little bit of a presence there as well. Um, but do you think it's more or less than last year?
Well, this year I'm participating more in the non EVM stuff. So like last year, I was trying to run around and get content for the special episode we released for the Smart Economy podcast. And this year, I'm kind of a little bit more free to roam around. So I actually got to go to Atom Day or Atom Denver, which is
Hmm.
like a play on ETHDenver. Um, so I got to go to a unique side event that was dedicated to the Cosmos, and uh, I loved it. I only got to stay for 3 panel presentations, and they were all freaking awesome. Um, the first one was dedicated to cross-chain DeFi and kind of leveraging the app chains experience on what it's like sharing and moving liquidity across the Cosmos and the interchain, which of course has kind of broader implications as well. Like if you zoom out, the Cosmos is very similar to the kind of issues that maybe EVM and non-EVM ecosystems share when bridging and sharing liquidity between those two ecosystems. They
Hmm.
spoke about DPIN as well, which is kind of like an emerging narrative that is starting to take hold here. DPIN is decentralized physical infrastructure networks. And then, dude, you would have loved this presentation. I'm not sure if you've heard of this project called Agoric. They are building JavaScript tooling, and they're
Hmm.
trying to go after. They're trying to build chain abstraction. So a DApp can leverage any blockchain network, and the tooling they're building is possible for devs to kind of integrate support for multiple blockchain networks for whatever backend processes on a DApp, just to make it super simple for the end user. So the end user will never know if they were conducting a transaction on EVM, on an L2, on some sort of IBC protocol, even like N3 or whatever. And they're building
Hmm.
like JavaScript tooling for this. So um, I think that there's probably more side events this year dedicated to cross chain. I mean, yesterday there was a Bitcoin summit all day long. And that wasn't here last year. And I also saw a Bitcoin building house, like just a place where they were hosting builders for a couple days. So I've seen like a little bit more Bitcoin stuff, but yeah, dude, this is fully cross chain still, and like um, ETHDenver is kind of representative of this growth towards, um, I guess, something that we've been speaking about for a while, like protocol agnosticism.
Yeah, it's nice to see kind of cross-chain solutions maturing a little bit. Obviously, IBC has been a big part of that, but platforms like Agoric, I think it's such a great idea that rather than trying to have some kind of over ledger, you just have tooling that solves that problem in the background, right?
Yeah.
Just routes you to, wherever the liquidity is, just takes care of it in the back, and the user doesn't have to care. And I love all those sorts of abstractions. Would you say that it's still been a very like developer focused event, or is it sort of started branching out a little bit more into user land in terms of new applications and projects?
Um, yeah, I mean, so another thing with Denver is as each year goes on, like at first it started out as like, the weirdos getting together, wearing their furry costumes and rainbow flags and flying their freak flag, and just kind of like leaning into the weirdness of, being an EVM dev in 2017, 18, 19. It was much more fringe, I feel. And
Hmm.
as ETHDenver has grown, it's become more, it hasn't lost that, but it's expanded into the same types of crowds you might see at like Consensus or Token 2049, or maybe even like a Masari event, kind of like growing into bringing in institutional interest interests and users, and maybe like new companies who are exploring Web3. So I would say this year I'm noticing like a lot less, the dilution of the earlier kind of like freak flag flyers, the folks who were proud to be weird and building an Ethereum because it was counterculture. And it's starting to really become apparent and obvious that this is like a space that's here to stay, and that this conference itself is growing beyond that and becoming kind of like an event that's also for the businessy end user types that spend maybe $1,000 or more for a consensus ticket. So I don't think it's like losing. I don't think ETHDenver is losing its identity or anything like that, but it's maturing and growing in a way that I really appreciate, especially being local to Denver. It's really fantastic to see a lot of these teams and folks show up here. And we're not really seeing any of these like new projects that are promising airdrops and just trying to capitalize on local hype from like positive macro movements that we've been seeing the past few days or weeks, maybe even. So yeah, man, I don't know if that answered your question, but I'm
I think
really,
it did.
yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. I got a couple things I'm curious about. I would love to be there in person. I think one of these years I'm definitely gonna have to get a ticket and head over. But um, I want to know: are you seeing any interactive experiences at the different booths, and are any of the ecosystems kind of exploring, NFI type of shit or any
Mhm.
other kind of direct user onboarding? And then the follow up is, how did Ratio B Works go?
Awesome. So for those who are listening to this or are live or are hidden or might listen to this in the future, NFI stands for non-fungible items. And it's a it's a term we coined for item systems. Essentially, it's a physical good that is embedded with, for all intents and purposes, a super secure NFC chip that can interact with phones, and the NFC chip has a digital twin on chain. So, just for jargon, um, I I am seeing that. So, like, there are scanning stations, kind of like littered throughout the event, where users can tap a station and earn a POAP for the booth that it's associated with. So, like, I'm like totally blanking right now, but like let's say like ENS, Ethereum Name Service, has a booth and they have a POAP station. You can scan it, tap it with your phone, and you'll get a ENS POAP. So that's a kind of really cool example that I'm seeing here, but that's not necessarily new. Um, the past couple years, there have been kind of like tap and go POAP stations, but what I am noticing is this year it's a lot quicker for the NFC reader to read the POAP scanning station, and the process is a lot more streamlined to seeing your POAP get minted and then being taken to the wallet. So we're seeing an improvement for the interaction of physical assets on chain. Um, Another really cool use case that I'm seeing here is the badges are actually embedded with NFC chips. So you can tap your phone to the badge that they give away to everybody. And in a relatively simple onboarding process, you provide your email address, and then you can either register a username and login through kind of like the Web 2 OAuth solution, which makes it easier. Or there's like a ZK enabled local security method where you can create your own password and store that information on your phone. And then it's accessed through some sort of ZK thing. It's over my head, very techy, but what I really appreciated about that is this is the first time I've seen like a zero knowledge solution be used in a super simple, easy onboarding manner. And it wasn't being used for ZK's sake. It was actually like a zero knowledge solution being used to provide a super simple way for the end user to secure their information on their phone. So that's those are kind of like the two really cool physical assets being used on chain that I've seen. And then of course there was our event, which was last night, and we were leveraging the previously installed NFI plaques that we put up for Denver Walls. Denver Walls is an international mural festival that landed in Denver last year. 17 artists were commissioned to put up murals that will be there for 5 to 10 years. And our meetup was at a local brewery. If you tap two of these plaques, you can redeem a beer. And the beauty behind all of this was that everything was on chain, except the end user didn't know what chain they were using, didn't know that it was even on chain, that they didn't have to download a wallet, they didn't have to preload it with gas or anything like that. So that was kind of like a really cool technological. integration into the event. And for the event itself, I mean, uh, we had more than 300 people register, but I think we had more quality than quantity that actually showed up. So I won't sit here and say it was like the largest meetup that's been at this event. We had maybe a couple dozen people show up, but everybody that was here was like a really great kind of tie to either the Smart Economy podcast or to the Neo ecosystem. So some Neo folks that were there were Guil, shout out Guil, he's on here right now. Steven was there. There were also some OG ecosystem members. There was another Steven who actually worked at Neo in 2019, who you and I both met when we were there for the NCA in 2019. Stefan from Alchemint was there. I don't know if anyone here remembers Alchemint, but it was an over collateralized stablecoin model that launched on Neo Legacy in 2019, and it was a good product. They were just 4 years ahead of their time, 3 years ahead of their time. Um, and then Tyler was there as well. Shout out Tyler. Uh, and another blast from the past, Edge. The Ryu Coin team was there. Do you remember them?
Wow, what are they working on now? They still in gaming?
Yeah, they are. Wyatt was there, and it was it was Ross, I believe. Sorry if they listened to this and I butchered the other fellow's name. um, but yeah, it was so cool to see them. They showed up because they saw like Neo in the event invite and just wanted to see what was going on. So they came by and long story short, they're building a protocol agnostic marketplace for downloadable Web3 mobile games. So if you're building like
Oh,
Quirky
interesting.
Souls on N3 could be added to their marketplace. And if you're building a game on BSC or building a game in the Cosmos verse or building a game on Ethereum or whatever, they don't care. They'll build a marketplace for that specific chain where the users can go there and surf for games by the chain.
That's
So
really
yeah,
cool.
they're
I love the concept of alternate app stores, especially given everything that's happening with both Google Play and Apple stores being kind of, walled gardens or exploitative in some capacity or other. So, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and it was just rad to see them. They just wanted to hear what was going on with Neo still, and it's really cool to see like folks that tried a project in 2017, 18. 90% of all startups and businesses fail. So I think going into being a crypto or token speculator, like that's something that we forget. And then also from a human element, like these are people like people who get mad at projects that tried something and failed, they forget that like that was a person who put their blood, sweat, and time into building something that failed. So I just love seeing teams that have been around for X amount of years just showing resiliency and like sticking around and like continuing to go after it. And it was really cool to see that Ryu Coin is still like sticking to the gaming space. Um, and then some other folks that were there, some PR firms, some master's students who are in MBAs in at UC Berkeley, and then we had some Shapeshift and Thorchain folks swing by as well after a Thorchain meetup. So that
That's
was really
sweet.
cool. Yeah, it was nice.
Did you green
Definitely.
pill them a little bit, as is custom?
A little bit. I took those guys around, and there were two murals that were on the block where Ratio Beer Works, the brew hall was, and took them to the murals. And these guys are like OGs. They're not gonna like circle jerk you and tell you you have the greatest product ever. But they really thought it was cool, the scan and taps for the murals and how everything kind of was like seamlessly done on chain. So to just get kind of like yeah, this is cool to like acknowledgement from that group of folks, is nice. It lets us know that we're on the right path with this NFI technology and kind of like what we're building out. And another question that I really liked is as we were describing the technology and the process to everyone, I don't care like how long they've been building on blockchain. The question that every single person ultimately asked is, what chain is this on? And so to finally like be able to say like, yes, this is on Neo, to have the market or the quote unquote customer asking this without me having to shill it, as part of a natural part of the conversation, that was also really refreshing and just kind of like another highlight that we're on the right path. You know, like you build the product first and people ask about the product, and then asking what chain it's on as a secondary thought. To me, that's just a super cool that the technology is first, like the NFI technology is first, but then B, that like we kind of get to like tell people like, yeah, this is being built on Neo, and show them that like this community has been here since 2015 through thick and thin, and is continuing to iterate and innovate. Um, and so that's also another fun talking point, is just talking about that item systems NFI tech is just more secure than the POAP scan or the badge scan. There's another like security element that makes the scanning process unforgeable with NFTs or with NFIs. And the business use case with getting a free beer just kind of like highlights that. Like we proved that I'm an individual that proved I went to 2 murals and I'm able to now redeem a free beer. I'm not like some spoofed geo geocached account that spoofed these waypoint check-ins to basically like rip off Ratio or whoever funded the X amount of beers for the event. So yeah, it's really nice. Folks are excited. They like it. I'm really just beginning to see the potential for like local events and how this technology can be integrated and stuff like that.
That's really nice, and I'm sure some people were pretty impressed with the tech. It's a great proof of concept of just like, you know, it's as you say, you're not spoofing these locations. You've got to do the thing, and then you can, redeem it in some capacity, and that could be truly anything. Um, I guess it would be better to ask Tyler or Gil rather than you, but did you see anyone expressing an interest in item systems and, talking about doing some kind of integration based on the Ratio Bayworks event and the murals?
Um, yeah, I think like Tyler and Gil would probably be better to answer this from like devs they're speaking with. Uh, I think I'm seeing more excitement personally for me from like the Ratio Beerworks staff.
Hmm.
Um, and something that I'm really excited about is this is the first time since I've been in blockchain. Like you and I have been with Neo News Today since 2018. We have covered dozens of projects that have come and gone, projects that were ahead of their time, like Alchemint, um, other projects that, yeah. Um, but this is the first time where like there is a real world entity that there is a technology solution that is built for their needs. So the brewmaster or like the general manager for the Ratio Brew Hall, when we told him, yeah, these murals exist and we can drive traffic to you guys, it just clicked for them. They were
Hmm.
like, we didn't need to sell them. They were like, yes, let's do the event. Let's do the buy one get one free. Let's have this thing go on through March. So throughout March, folks are going to be able to tap any of the 2 murals and be able to get a buy one get one free beer. So this is going to be kind of like the first passive campaign that's ongoing, where Neo is going to be seamlessly used in the background, but like the Ratio marketing team loves this because now they get email addresses for new customers that they can add to their newsletter. The
Hmm.
staff is super stoked when you bring a QR code to the beer tenders, to the bartenders. they know what to do, and it's super simple for them. Like, they see the QR code you bring them, and they just whip out their phone, scan it, and boom, uh, you, the end user, gets a free beer, and the bartender not only like got to scan the tech, but they also have gratuity added to that. In America, you have to pay gratuity for everything. You have to tip everyone here because we don't pay our servers living wages. Land of the free, right? Um, so I think that's kind of, from my perspective, what's really exciting about this. And it's not even ETHDenver specific, but like real world businesses are starting to understand the value that this blockchain enabled technology can bring them. And then I also got to be a fly on the wall for some of Tyler's and Guil's conversations with local EVM or with EVM projects that are here. And there's just like a lot of intellectual curiosity between like Ethereum name service and some things that they're doing with NFC enabled things and this physical integration of physical chips and blockchain networks. Um, so I think like overall, compared to years past when I've been like a Neo guy at this EVM event, this is also really the first time where I'm getting the sense that there are areas where we can compete with some of these projects, but also like collaborate and get on the same page with one another, which I haven't really felt for most of Neo's existence. And I think like NeoX and the EVM sidechain is adding a little bit to that, but then there's also this multi-chain kind of perspective that's here at the event. But then also like just the NFI chip, non-fungible item chips. Like we're really going to uh, a place where we can be like at a table that everyone can join and kind of be understanding at the same time. So not only am I psyched for Neo's opportunities and NeoX's opportunities, but also like what we can do with this NFI tech. And I just imagine every year we'll just see expanding and growing use cases.
Yeah, it's a good time to be in blockchain, right? I think finally some of these solutions have started maturing to the point where, we can pitch them to a business and say, hey, this is a use case that, you don't need to pay anything, you don't need to do anything. We can set this up and you can just have benefits from it, right? So
Yeah.
um, it's been a long time coming. I think people were hoping for use cases within the first few years of the smart contract explosion, like 2017, everyone's like, all right, we're going to have real world adoption by 2018, 2019. It was just never going to happen. But it
Yeah.
seems like we're getting close. There's been a bit of a Cambrian explosion. It'll be really interesting to see how these interactive integrations work like next year. Like looking at what we did at Consensus, right? And now
Hmm.
we've got people tapping murals in Denver and getting free beers. What's next year going to look like? What's the next step up from this?
Well, I mean, so like also shout out to Item Systems, which is of course COZ and AxLabs. These guys have just been iterating on the tapping and scanning process to make it just better and better and smoother from both a tech, like a hardware perspective and a software perspective. So from that end, it's only getting easier to use. But you and I, we've probably had the rose-colored glasses about the crypto space like forcefully removed from our faces years ago. Um, and I think like that's something that people are slowly coming to terms with. Like real world adoption isn't this like sexy thing that's going to 10x your underlying asset. It's like what we're doing here, like 300 free beers. We're rewarding people for exploring a neighborhood. That's not like 10,000 transactions a day, but this is like real world impact on people's lives. So I think that there needs to be a course correction on the way that token speculators have an outlook on these assets and these networks. And just realize that like network use for real world activity is a good thing. It might not pamp your token 10x tomorrow. Um, It might not even be in your neighborhood, but like this is the slow Trojan horsing of onboarding the first billion users into blockchain and crypto. So to that end, I mean, I think there's a little bit of reality that folks need to have, but also this is super exciting. So like next year, I don't know what it looks like. I think we see more physical integrations with more companies. It's obvious that item systems was ahead of the curve, like the things we were doing with one band last summer at Consensus. Um, no other project was doing. And just 7 or 8 months later, we're starting to see this like physical integration of assets in the real world and how they interact on chain. We're really starting to see that pop off. So I don't know what this is going to look like in a year at ETHDenver 2025, but like once again, we were early to something, and I'm like psyched that we A have a first mover advantage, and B we have an even more secure chip than probably all of these tap and scan type of projects are using. I think I hit everything that you asked.
For sure, man. Exciting times.
Exciting times indeed. I guess I'm curious from your perspective. Uh, what are you hearing across the pond about this event? Are you getting FOMO? Is it business as usual? Is there anything that has kind of like popped out that has grabbed your attention?
To be honest, as soon as I see a picture of you guys hanging out, I always get a bit of FOMO. That's how it is. I'm not gonna miss every demo. That's for damn sure. It looks like too much fun. But yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
sorry, you go ahead.
no, I'm just happy that Tyler and Gil and Steven are here, um, running into like old ecosystem friends. It's also just nice to like last night we were talking about O3, the old O3 team and the DAPI
Hmm.
standard that they made. So like just like talking like OG ant shares type shit. It was so cool.
Yeah, well now I'm definitely got FOMO, but I've already missed out, so it's not FOMO anymore. It's just fear. But yeah, it looked like a hell of an
Well,
event. I'm really glad that you guys managed to get a side quest together. Um, do we have any numbers? How many beers got redeemed in the end?
again, like I said, like we had quality over quantity, so I think
Yeah,
maybe we redeemed maybe less than 30 beers.
that's still
But
pretty good
like
though. People actually went out to the murals. And they legit went through the quest, right? And they got their beer at the end of it. And
yeah,
anyone that's dedicated enough to actually do that are people that you want to have at your meetup, right? It's like
and
civil filtering.
and when you're impressing like OGs who have been in the space since 2013, 2014, it's like you're on the right path. You're onto something.
100%.
And this technology is being built on like this chain, like our Neo chain that we have watched have less than 1,000 transactions a day. And so this is kind of like we're growing beyond that. I mean, I saw you call me out the other day on NDAP when we had a more than normal transaction activity, and I got to say gradually then suddenly.
It's
It,
my
it
new
it's
favorite
just
Neo meme.
well, shout out to everyone who remembers me for saying that. I love you all. Um, but yeah, I'm really psyched that the right type of people are getting excited, and for the Moon Boys who want to get high on moon fumes, like this isn't going to onboard your next 100K users in the next month. This isn't going to pump the Neo token to $100, but like this is real world use that is giving utility to a blockchain, and it just so happens that this is our chain. So yeah, man, I'm excited. Today's day 2 of the event. Something I've really just enjoyed is walking around talking with, like yesterday, Tyler, Gill, and I chatted with Circle for
Mhm.
30 minutes, just to kind of get a better sense for how we can onboard USDC, either onto NeoVM or NeoEVM. So just having these conversations and hearing kind of like the opportunities that NeoX is opening, and to just kind of like finally give the community devs in our ecosystem the opportunity to be able to talk with these ETHDenver projects and maybe collaborate, coordinate, build together, or even like learn things from one another. Um, you know, this is something that I'm super excited about with the EVM sidechain. It's opening potential doors that I haven't felt were able to be opened the entire time we've been in this space. So for what it's worth, um, I'm super excited about like what the ecosystem is going to look like. Maybe a quarter or two after NeoX mainnet launches. So like
Mhm.
summer of next year, I'm really excited to see how our ecosystem is kind of like expanding and growing. Um, and these conversations that we're having, like we're at the table. We're a part of the conversation, and um, it's just super cool, man.
Awesome. Well, it looks like we've got a guest speaker. How you doing, Gil?
Hey guys, I'm doing fine. Yeah, just getting my coffee here. I just joined. I just joined as a speaker now because, as a as a techie guy, I always get breakfast in the last 5 minutes. Before they close up. So I was like just eating, eating like pretty fast and to join you guys. But I just want to share two things. With the first is that I can see clearly that there's a lot of VCs and a lot of investors in in the event. This is something that this is my first ETHDenver, but if you go, I used to go to other Ethereum and blockchain conferences and like in the past years, and this year I think things are changing. Like so, we clearly see more a kind of a bull market, forming and going forward. I don't know if it's positive or negative, but it is what it is. So this is one thing is that we got approached by, yeah, what are you doing? I'm like from this blah 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 capital. Tell me how it works, and yeah, this is cool to hear. I think it's a positive sign, but yeah. And the second thing is that, of course, that we have all these people experiencing our technology, item systems technology, and going to the murals and going to the beer, get beers at the bar, and etc. But this is awesome. They don't need to know anything about tech, what is the underlying technology, etc. But once a techie person comes and experiences our technology, I get so excited because they ask us, well, that's super cool, how it works. And then like this is the next step, on the pitch, telling a bit more on some details. This is not so relevant, for the person, the common person out there, which is not a computer scientist or anything. But if you are a tech guy, getting interested about how things work and what are the details behind it, I think is a pretty bullish sign that we're doing something right. So yeah, that's my 2 points on uh, how the first day of the conference went, and yeah, looking forward to the second day today.
Gil, I guess because you're a community developer in the Neo ecosystem, you've also participated and won in Ethereum hackathons. How does the NeoX sidechain, which is an EVM compatible sidechain, how does this thing that's being built kind of increase the potential for the conversations you're having with folks? I like personally speaking, Denver has always been an Ethereum town, and for so many years, it was almost like at the meetups and the events I was at, like, oh, you're with Neo. That's a cute little ecosystem, but it's not building anything EVM. So whatever, we're gonna go talk to someone else. Now with NeoX, it's like we have an opportunity to collaborate and maybe even partner with teams. So I'm just curious to hear how are conversations that you're having with at events like ETH Denver or at ETH Zurich, how are they different now that we're building NeoX and EVM sidechain? compared to maybe like 2 years ago when we only had Neo VM?
No, definitely, it's the topics and what we talk flows way better. Okay, so the analogy that I have is that NeoX and EVM compatibility is not only a door to other chains and to the ecosystem. It's a portal. It's way bigger than a door. Is something that enable us to get more. How can I say? Integrated and to develop like innovation also in other ways that were not really straightforward with Neo in 3. So yeah, we it flows way better, like the conversations with the innovators, the guys building, you know, state of the art kind of tooling and protocols, encryption mechanisms, dev tooling, whatever. So I'm pretty bullish because I mean, I think like it's as I said, it's a portal to get more integrated into conversations, into innovation in a different way. I'm not saying that like New and 3 we're not innovating. I'm saying that with New and 3 we had like a community, and our community. I mean, it was pretty difficult to, how can I say, to go out there and explain in detail how we're innovating. But now with MVM, people get like way more. They say, oh yeah, NTMV. Oh, how you guys are gonna do this? Oh, you guys can try our technology. It's a precompiled, smart contract that you can just add into Genesis. Like if you're of your EVM chain, it's of your side chain, etc., etc. So it's it's I feel more, let's say, embrace in certain aspects of the state of the art of kind of blockchain industry. That's I don't know if you answered your question.
No, you did. I also have another question to follow up on. What's one thing that somebody who has interacted with the item systems NFI, either plaques or the sweaters? Tyler also made custom sweaters for us that have the NFI plaques embedded with them, so we can actually walk around and tap people into our ecosystem as we're walking around Denver. So Guil, what is kind of, if you can remember one kind of interesting conversation you've had, or like a really nice insight that you've had from somebody that isn't in our ecosystem or isn't on our team? What's like a really cool comment or an insight that you've had with someone from discussing the item systems technology after they either scanned one of the plaques or scanned one of our sweaters?
So yeah, I had like some conversations yesterday, more with people outside of our community, and I love when people when I explain like item systems and you have like a microchip, you have we embed in items, our technology, etc. And I love when people kind of have a moment. They start like looking to the horizon and start imagining use cases, for our technology. So like this happened like yesterday. It happened more than twice, 3 times, I think, like as I can remember. And like the guys were saying, oh, okay, like yeah, luxury. Oh, but you can also do like authentication of physical items for token gated projects. So if you own like your like one band, or if you own an item, you can token gate this on chain, and then you can partner with other projects, etc. And then like this excites me because when you give like technology and you explain like what is the potential, and people start thinking about use cases that are in the real world, let's say. I think I get excited about this. But yesterday I was just going around the conference and talking. Me and Dylan, we just had lunch, and this guy just appeared and talking to us, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm an OG, and I was working for Kraken, and I built a crypto watch." And then we explained to him that our technology, and say, "Wow, man, I mean, can I maybe you should cooperate. Maybe you should like. I imagine selling. I imagine selling item systems, out there. And I say, wow, if a person says this in the first conversation, of course it can be bullshit, But it's at least it's something positive.
Yeah, I agree. I just think like overall, this ETHDenver from being a community member in a smaller blockchain ecosystem this year, and like this isn't anything new to anyone who's been paying attention to what's been going on with item systems. It's a protocol agnostic, uh, uh, physical infrastructure project, and this is the first time where people are seeing the vision for themselves as we're having the conversation in a way that I've never felt about any technology, either on Neo or off of Neo in conversations I've had. So yeah, I'm really excited. That guy that we had lunch with yesterday just kind of unsolicited said like, this is really cool. Like I would love for you guys to reach out to me and have me become like an advisor or involved in this project at all. Like please, whenever you want to, feel free to reach out to me. So yeah, I'm really starting to feel that vibe. Um, and I'm also starting to feel like we deserve to be at ETHDenver, and like we deserve to be talking to these other teams. It's I don't know if that's like the right sentiment or not, but it finally feels um, like we've earned our spot at the table, even though we've been real deal builders and actors for years. It feels like externally we're being validated now.
That's a really nice sentiment. I think, yeah, it's a little like imposter syndrome or something. Like we know that we've had the goods this whole time, but no one's really paying much attention. But now that there are actually things happening, people will take a look over and see that, we've been doing some interesting things for a while now. So I guess we got to wrap this up because we've run a little over. But I have got one question: how likely are we thinking that Neo is going to have its own dedicated presence at ETHDenver next year?
Oh, if only Steven was on the call right now. Um, I mean, Gil, would you agree with me that this is the type of event that maybe Neo should have a booth at?
Yeah, certainly, certainly. I mean, um, not only an event, but maybe not only a booth, but also maybe an event that with presentations and this kind of thing, technical presentations that we show people more in detail. Things. A booth is great because it shows presence, but the content, sometimes the booth is a bit missing to people like wanting to dig a bit more. So not on a booth, but like a kind of a small event. We rent like a place here, a bar or something. We just put a projector and have a couple of presentations, guests and stuff. So this is one of my dreams, to have this kind of a new event in a Ethereum kind of base conference. I mean, ETHDenver, of course, it's a very good candidate, but why not also Ethereum DevCon or like other events? Yeah.
Awesome. Tyler, I brought you on stage, so feel free to unmute and speak. I just want to add on to that um, in the lead up to ETHDenver, there's something called Biddle Week, which is essentially a week dedicated to hackers and teams that are building projects. And particularly last year, but this year as well, there are multiple different chains that are offering bounties for building on those networks. So not only should Neo have like a presence here, maybe even beyond a booth, but to have like a side event, like a Neo specific side event, but there's also opportunities to speak on stage. But Neo could also have bounties in the week leading up, and we could also attract developers to build projects and test out Neo. Or we could even request certain features get built and fulfill the bounties for those. So, in addition to everything that Gil just said, I also think that we should have a presence in like the hackathon, what they call the Biddle-a-thon here. What's up, Tyler?
It's right now, and I'm going to
You're kind of going in and out, but
all right. Yeah, I think Neil will definitely have a presence here. What I'm what I'm kind of thinking on that for next year is that we don't actually necessarily need a booth, right? We can be potentially more systemic within the conference and outside of it, right? So if we're talking about like physical assets, right, like we can actually distribute physical assets and run like a systemic experience within the conference itself, where people are actually
You mean
using and
like
interacting with it.
maybe all the badges are in item systems NFIs this time instead of regular POAPs or something?
Yeah, or maybe we have like shirts, for example, that we distribute, and we have like 300 shirts, and there's some gamified experience with like those shirts, or like hats, or something like that. Or maybe like
Codes.
for the build-a-thon, for example, like, so say for the build-a-thon, maybe we are distributing like 1,000 shirts to conference goers, and then as part of the build-a-thon, people can build dApps which interact with the shirts that we distributed. Right? So we can do something like that where we don't necessarily need like a literal booth presence, right? But we can be more systemic within the entire conference. And that also kind of applies to the plaques, right? So maybe we do the build-a-thon and we issue bounties, and then people can build like dApps which interact with the physical infrastructure that we've already deployed in the area. And like maybe we facilitate integrations with some of the local businesses, so people that go to participate in the hackathon have a direct, like, real world product offering, like at the end of the week, to incentivize them to build in our ecosystem.
Yeah, I think.
And if I'm being honest, it's a very affordable approach too. It's cheaper than paying for a booth footprint.
Yeah. Another thing I want to add to kind of like highlight that, like, as an ecosystem and as community members that are building, like, as a moment that we've grown up, this past year, unfortunately, we were too late to, like, Tyler and I were too late to collaborate with ETHDenver stewards and staff who put this event on. But the level um, of opportunities that we had to have a present ETHDenver this year has never been higher. Tyler and I met in December with one of the founders of ETHDenver, and they wanted to collaborate with us and to have for us to have a footprint like at the event. It just was too late. Like, this event was at the end of February, and we were having these conversations a week before Christmas. So the timing wasn't right, but like we've finally gotten to a point where the folks who put this event on see the value in what we're building and what we're bringing to the table, and not only were amenable and open to like collaborating with us, but we're also eager to just say like, what you could do X, Y, and Z. Just unfortunately we didn't have the time to fulfill that. um, but it's a positive sign. We're moving in the right direction, I think. So,
Love to
I
hear
don't
it.
know, Guil. Yeah, sorry, Edge, go on.
I just said I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So I don't know, Gil, Tyler, you guys kind of hopped on later than we like to have. You guys have any like last minute insights or things you want to share? You both have brought valuable input to this conversation. So, yeah, if you guys have anything else you want to share, or just kind of like talk about that really excites you about this event and opportunities, go for it. If not, you guys also provided some great insights.
Yeah, just, and this is kind of not a big thing, but a very practical thing, that if anybody that listens to this happens to be in Denver, end up in Denver, there are still a lot of free beers available at Ratio for tap scanning 2 of the 17 murals. Like, they are that offer for free beers is still available. And then once those run out, right, we'll switch over to a buy one get one free. But that's something that I think we're going to start seeing pop up, really continuing on into September for Denver Walls as well. I think we'll work on having some offer that's always available leading up to the festival. I think that's one of our goals here.
Yeah, and shout out to our partners, Denver Walls partners, Sage and Ali. They're just great with connecting us with local businesses. So it was really easy to have our first pilot with Ratio Brewworks. And hopefully we expand into other local breweries. There's been interest from family-oriented folks as well, so like maybe ice cream shops or anything else that we can kind of like drive mural visitors to. So keep your ears to the ground for potential future collaborative efforts with local brick and mortar businesses, leveraging this technology to spur real world economic activity. So we try to keep these 30 minutes, but this was a fascinating conversation today. Very rarely are we joined not only by the illustrious Edge, but also by community developers such as Guil and Tyler. So thank you guys for both jumping on stage. I am blessed. I'm going to be able to hang out with Guil and Tyler in just about an hour. So I look forward to seeing you guys soon. And Edge, it's always a pleasure to chat with you. Thanks for sharing a little bit of your Friday afternoon with us.
Yeah, rub it in, why don't you?
Dylan,
Well,
Dylan,
what's
okay,
up?
okay. Now, I mean, now that it came to the stage and like show some stuff here, can you give me a ride, to the event?
Yeah, I'll pick you up, Gil. I'll let you know when
That's
we're
great.
heading to your hotel.
Beautiful.
Cool.
All right. Thanks to all our listeners. And next time we'll try and keep to the 30-minute. A little
I
bit of
hope everyone
limits.
enjoys the extra. I hope everyone enjoys the extra hour though. And
Yeah.
yeah,
People did
thanks.
request it, to be honest.
Well, shout out to everyone who's listening to this. We're out here grinding and we're Trojan horsing the Neo blockchain into ETHDenver in a way that excites even your most OG token holders from before Neo is even a thing. So, yeah. And
Gradually,
keep
then
an eye
suddenly,
out
guys.
on gradually and then suddenly. I think we'll leave on that. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.